to my channel. My name is Samantha if you are new here, and I thought today's video would be a little bit different and something that I have been working on. If you have not visited my podcast, I do have a podcast which I will leave in the description box below, but the last podcast that I actually did was what is known as automatic writing. And basically, it just means that your subconscious dumps out onto a piece of paper. So you basically get into a kind of a meditative state, and if you feel a sense of blockage of any sort, you are able to see kind of what is entailing with this blockage, and it comes out with automatic writing. So if you would like to hear basically what the writing that I did for yesterday's podcast, you can certainly do that. But the podcast is called Dark Waters, and it's a bit about basically setting yourself free, and it came from my automatic writings. So if you would like to check that out, please do so. So it's really helpful this is going to be hopefully very helpful for people that struggle with selective mutism. So selective mutism is a trauma and or anxiety response, and it is basically where the individual is not able to speak in certain circumstances. They don't have any physical problems like with their throat or voice, but they are unable to speak due to some sort of anxiety or blockage. So automatic writing, as well as music, like artwork, like painting, those are very helpful with selective mutism. So individuals that struggle with selective mutism have a very vibrant inner world. I have never met a person that has a difficult time speaking that is assertive. So part of the reason why individuals that have trouble with selective mutism is because they suppress a lot due to circumstances, and they feel like they can't be themselves. So the main need of a person with selective mutism is to feel safe and to be understood. So if an individual doesn't feel safe around or comfortable around another person, they're not going to speak. So it's very helpful to journal. Growing up, I actually didn't speak a lot, so I have a lot of journals. So probably 100 journals at least. I write anything down from food that I ate or who I spoke to, if I wore something that day that I really liked, or a lot of feelings I would actually get out on paper. So I'm actually really enjoy writing. So it's very helpful to identify if you are a person that struggles with anxiety, is to find out what it is, the blockage that you have with the blockage. So in my personal life, I actually have a hard time speaking. I feel very blocked. So when I do videos, I'm very I have to be conscious about what I'm saying because I want it to come off as very clear to people, but I'm much more accurate when I write. So the poem that I wrote that came from my automatic writing is called Dark Waters. And I'm going to give you a little clip, and hopefully this is going to transition into my next phase of this video. So I have it written down here, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. So the title of the story is called Dark Waters. Dark waters, and you are a sinking ship. You are portraying a wound that is not real. You say that it is. However, you cannot heal a wound until you bear it. To bear is to take hold of something and pull it towards yourself. You are a record that keeps replaying because you have never experienced anything else. So this is what I did yesterday to kind of open up some blockages that I have so that I'm able to understand where my blockages come from when I speak to other people. So basically what this has basically said is that people that struggle with wounds and that are suppressed don't have the ability to speak well with other people. They are not able or feel comfortable expressing themselves. So oftentimes, depending on how severe the blockage, some people might have a severe blockage where other people is just like a very minor. This could be a form of dissociation where you're not able to access what it is that you are basically suppressing. So automatic writing helps with that. So people that dissociative identity disorder or dissociative tendencies is basically a fancy term for adapting to pain in a situation that you're not able, it's almost impossible for you to adapt to. So what happens is a person in their mindset or their mind actually splits off, and you experience different perceptions basically to be able to adapt to a certain situation. So other people might experience memory loss, other people might experience a lapse of time, people might experience liking foods they don't normally like, or not having the ability to maintain healthy relationships. They might have time like memory lapses where it comes in flashes and they don't really understand why. So and the reason why I feel like this is important is because pretty much everyone, if you grow up in today's society, you pretty much have some sort of dissociation. Dissociation can come from anything from any kind of numbing feeling like in your day-to-day life, or if something's like really boring and you kind of like nod off or not there. Usually another circumstance or symptom that you have within your circumstances is you feel like time is not real and you feel like your surroundings are not real. So you're kind of like it feels like an alien plucked out of outer space, and you can see your surroundings but you're not connecting to them. That is a form of dissociation. Also looking in the mirror and not seeing or believing that's who you are, you don't really connect with that. Ligaments such as hands or feet look out of proportions. That's a form of dissociation. So the reason why I brought this video up is because if you are a person that has different viewpoints or different perceptions for the same subject, like let's say someone doesn't like women, they really have an issue with women for a number of reasons, and I'm sure for a very good reason. A lot of traditional therapies or that I have seen or books that I've read, they tried to have the ability for this particular mindset or alter come out to talk or to get some information. What happens is that sometimes this alter or this personality, which is basically you, it's just another form of you, it doesn't come out because it doesn't feel safe, and it feels like you're being manipulative. So I find that this technique that I've used on myself is actually a little bit more beneficial, and it's basically you going to that particular mindset or perception. And I don't like to use the word alter because it's kind of like condescending, because basically dissociation is you. It's just different forms of consciousness or mind frames or mindsets. So it's still you, it's just you in a different being, and they're all you and they're all lovable. It's just you, and they haven't either been integrated or you're still having a conflict. So I'm going to give an example. Let's say, for example, someone has an issue with women for a very good reason. Maybe they grew up, they didn't have a good experience, so they have that experience with women. However, they might have a part of their psyche that really wants that connection with women, but they have this other part that's kind of like, no, women are bad, they're not right, they'll hurt you. So there's always this internal conflict where one party wants something and the other party wants another. So instead of going back and forth, and it creates this like space and this like split, it's very helpful to go into their level of your subconscious or your perception or this altar and ask this particular person or get some type of information, but not to change anything about this particular perception. So the reason why this is important, because the goal of this exercise is not actually going to change. You're not going to try to change this particular state of consciousness. You're actually going to try to get more information, because there is a purpose of why this part of yourself has basically split off. And I use quotation marks because I want to make it clear to people that it is still you. It's just another form of you, and it's still valuable and lovable. So the goal of this is not to change. It is more to understand, so that when we go into another level of yourself, that the two are able to connect, instead of one coming out and speaking and go back, and then the other one coming out and speaking and go back. So this is something that I have tried and worked on myself, and I find it to be pretty beneficial. So I might be beneficial for you guys as well. And it's very helpful to do automatic writing as well. So first of all, I started out into a state of meditation, and meditation just means being in a state of emptying out your mind, and it takes a really long, like an extremely long time to kind of get to that state. And I am not like a meditative person because my mind is constantly going. So basically, it's getting to a space of neutrality, I like to call, where you're not having an expectation of anything. You're just kind of being in that space of neutrality. And I imagine myself that I'm in a very large building, or I'm in a space of a house. So this house has many staircases or stairs, and each staircase leads to different parts of my subconscious or psyche. And this has a different part of my personality. So each individual or each part of your personality are on these levels or steps. So it's very helpful to go into like a meditative state and interact with these alters or these personalities. Now, some people are not able to access parts of themselves just because they're not in their awareness yet. So this exercise is for people that are able to access those individuals, and simply ask them questions as to why they are there and what do they get out of being there. So we're going to go back to the example of a person that has an issue with women, right? The individual has an issue with women, so we're going to go to the part that really doesn't like them, and they have a valid reason why. So let's say you go down to this staircase, and you're going to imagine what the steps look like, if they're carpeted, if they are hardwood floors, if they have maybe a dog on the steps. Like, really get into the imagination of going in and experiencing these steps let's say we're going to go down the steps. So is it like in a hallway? Is it in a building? Is it like in a garage? And I want you to imagine yourself going down these steps and feeling the creaking, and maybe there's like a smell in the air. And I want you to imagine seeing yourself or your personality or your state of consciousness, and simply acknowledge that they are there. This is a very important part of yourself, and this is a part that is very sacred. And I want you to ask, what is it that you benefit out of hating women or not liking women? So we're just using women as an example. So if you're following along, you can use anything within this space. So the individual might say, I don't like women because if I like them, that would not keep me safe. That's a pretty valid reason. So we're not going to try to change that. We're just going to acknowledge that, yes, your hate for women is keeping you safe. So we're going to acknowledge that. You're going to ask what it is that they get out of being distant from women and what it is that they have given a reason why they are not liked. So reasons could be they're manipulative, they're not faithful, they don't have the ability to be trusted. So after you have experienced what it is that this individual doesn't like about women, we're going to gather that information and be grateful that this person has given off this information, and then go deeper down the levels. And these are going to be the stairs that lead to your next state of consciousness, which is, let's say this individual loves women and thinks they're amazing and are really nurturing. I want you to ask them the same question. What benefit do you get out of liking women? And this individual might say, I like women because they make me feel safe. They give me really great ideas. They expand my mind. They have different ways of looking at life. Maybe they're really nurturing. So you're going to gather that information. And whenever you're ready, or whenever this individual is ready, you're going to actually have the two come up to the same space or up the staircase and go to the same space. This is where they can kind of get a common ground, and it's not going to happen overnight. This can take like a bunch of different times. But basically you're going to get a grounding of women are nurturing, they are expand my mind, maybe they have the ability to be really creative, and on the other hand we have women are unsafe. They don't have the ability to be faithful, and maybe they are manipulative. So what is it that you can what can you benefit from manipulation? What can you benefit from nurturance? So you're going to find the benefit in all 6 of those things. And we're going to try to come to an agreement of at least one thing or one subject. The goal of it is to have an agreement so both parties can have the ability to have their space and their state of minds. So let's say, for example, we come to an agreement that women come to this planet because they have the ability to help an individual grow, or whatever it is, or maybe they have the ability to help you embrace your feminine side, or maybe learn how to get the job that you want without being aggressive. Like, those are things that you want to come in agreement. But the goal of the exercise is not to force and not to have individuals like burst and come out and talk. It's to have an agreement so that everyone is on the same page. And the goal of it is to not have the ability to like change one mind and the other. It's to ease that internal conflict so that both parties can be okay with each other, so that when you do come in contact with women or a woman that might be intimidating to you, you're not going to have this like clamoring like internal conflict where you don't know how to feel and you just feel like really, really stressed, and then maybe go into like a dissociative state. So that's kind of something that I have been working on. So it's definitely a process, and I just feel like it's much more beneficial than kind of siding with one party or the other, or just having one perspective. And the reason why people only want to have one perspective is because they don't want to feel like uncomfortable. People are like convinced that they need to only feel one way, and the reason why they are only want to feel one way is because they don't like well, I could change my mind. And when people change their mind, they make different decisions, and different decisions are really scary. But at the end of the day, when you have trust for yourself and have more of understanding of yourself and what you want, so when you come into conflicts, you're not going to feel like so stressed and overwhelmed. You're going to deal with it directly and maturely and kindly, so that when you build kind of this relationship with yourself where it's not going to be so stressful. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.